Hello and welcome to the Authentic Creative Expanding Your Capacity to Feel Good. I'm really honored because today I'm talking to this incredible woman, Johanna Crawford. Did I say your name correctly? Johanna?
You did?
So you guys are discovering Johanna as I'm discovering Johanna clearly. So here's the thing. For over 50 years, Johanna Crawford has been dedicated to community service, contributing to organizations like the Boston Science Museum and Transition House. In 2004, at age 58, she founded Web of Benefit, Inc., helping over 2,200 survivors of domestic violence across 26 states achieve their goals and dreams. That's incredible. Johanna has spoken at Babson College, Harvard University, and internationally at the Japanese Women's Leadership Initiative in Tokyo. That's amazing. And she has received numerous honors, including the Be the Change Award, an AARP Purpose Prize, and recognition as a CNN hero. I'm so struck first by the fact that you have such a heart of service, that you've touched and transformed and helped so many lives, and that you've done it on such a huge scale, and that also that you did it in the second half of your life, which is so inspiring. I'm curious about the first half of your life. What kind of like brought you into this phase of making such a huge impact in the second half?
Well, I'll just say in the second half at age like 55, it's when I think most women have raised their kids and are probably as financially independent as they're ever going to be,
Mm-hmm.
and have time to think about how to make an impact.
Yeah.
But I chose to work with survivors of domestic violence, which I now call intimate terrorism, because it is intimate terrorism. We are terrorized by those we are most intimate with.
Mm.
But anyway, as a kid, my family was alcoholic and angry and violent. And at
Mm.
age 13, my father attempted to murder my mother. And my brother and I were there, and we got him off of her and out of there. And this was in the late 50s, so you can imagine how old I really am. But back then there was no help. I mean, zero
Mm.
help.
Mm.
The police would come to our house and they would say to my mother, "Fix your marriage." Well,
Mm.
that still sometimes happens, by the way. But anyway,
Wow.
I checked all the right boxes. I went to college, I got married, I had kids, helped my husband get through graduate school, supported him in his career, and then realized that there was something more to life than that. And I think a lot of women in their late 40s and 50s realize that, especially when the kids are kind of off and gone. I remember sitting at the table thinking there's got to be something more than this. So
Mm-hmm.
anyway, got divorced. My background is finance and management, so I am a for-profit kind of girl.
Mm-hmm.
Started, bought, and sold several companies.
Wow.
But at that time, and I've always volunteered on some level. But at that time, I was really kind of empty. I didn't know what I wanted to do, which I think is also kind of a universal thing.
Yeah.
And knowing that I still had a lot of great years left, what was I going to do? So I decided that that's when I wanted to do something about intimate terrorism on whatever small level I could do it.
Yeah.
So that's when I started working at a crisis shelter, and from there created my nonprofit.
Okay. And so what challenges did you face in creating this? I'm curious.
Well, it's a good thing I didn't exactly know what was going to happen, because if I had, I
Right.
never would have done it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about nonprofits,
Okay.
nothing. Um, but I am a firm believer in the universe and divine plan and
Okay.
divine help.
Yeah.
And I wasn't scared of failure because I wasn't going to go hungry. I wasn't going to lose my home. My family was very supportive. So anyway, took a lot of work, but within a year, I had my nonprofit status. Harvard Law School in Hale and Dorr, which is one of the biggest law firms in Boston, did all my legal work for me for free.
Wow.
So I just went barreling through, not having a clue what I was doing. But and my big dream, and I'm all about the biggest dreams. My big dream was to help 100 women for $1,000 each.
Okay.
Because I had seen that there was this gap between what they were getting at agencies and what they really needed to start becoming self-sufficient and create new lives. Um,
Right.
so anyway, the 100 women turned out to be 2,200 women for $1,500,000.
Wow. Yeah. And so I'm curious, are these women that are transitioning out of homes where there's that intimate violence and terrorism into a different life for themselves, and you're helping them make that transition?
Yes, that's exactly what we did.
Okay.
But they needed to be out for at least 6 months. I did some crisis grants, but very few, because it really takes a woman 6 months
Mm,
to get out of that survival mode
yeah.
so they
I,
can actually have a dream, make a plan. And the money, the grant never went to them. It went to the school. We did probably 600 or 800 laptops. We did checks to landlords. We did a sewing machine for a tailor who ended up by buying the entire building that her shop was in.
wow.
One woman, we did a food cart. She now owns 3 restaurants.
Oh my gosh.
So
Amazing.
you cannot believe what $1,000 will do when a woman knows that someone else actually believes in her power
Mm,
and helps her. And what we did was we set up a plan. So we boiled everything down to what is the cost of the first step of your plan, which we call the dream proposal, for the rest of your life. And our
wow.
successes were extraordinary.
Wow. Yeah, it's like if you empower a woman and you see her and you hear her and you believe in her and you give her just a little bit of seed funding, what she'll create, not only for herself and her family, but for other women and for other people, what it does for the economy is amazing. Women having money is amazing.
But one thing I discovered very early on, well, first of all, good things start from the bottom up. They do not start from the top down. It is not trickle down, trust me. It is bottom up.
And you're
One
saying this from
woman,
your expertise in finance.
yeah, well, that too. But one woman alone can make a difference.
Yes.
But women working together can change the world.
Mm, yes. And we're built to be in tribe. We're built to support each other. That's how we're meant to be. We're not meant to be isolated in these ways that this story that we've been sold of isolation. Yes,
We're really good at multitasking too.
that's true. Oh my gosh. Okay, so you've worked with over 2,200 survivors, and I'm sure it's more than that, of domestic violence. Can you share a powerful, you were touching upon like a couple of those stories. Can you share a powerful story of transformation that stands out for you and how creativity right? Like you talked about the sewing machine and the restaurant plays a role in helping the survivors to heal, tapping into their innate creativity.
Well, I'm going to tell you how we did things, and it'll give you a hint on how things kind of worked for me and for the survivors. I always worked with their advocate. The advocate would refer, excuse me, refer the survivor, always survivor, never victim, never victim.
Yes.
She would be referred to me by her advocate. So, and we ended up by giving grants in 26 states. Zoom didn't work back then, but we did it, other ways. So I
So
knew,
everyone was assigned an advocate? How did that work?
no, that if you are escaping domestic violence and
Mm-hmm.
if you go to uh, and still they call it domestic violence agency, you are assigned an advocate.
Got it.
You can be living at a shelter or you can have an advocate in the community.
Okay.
So everybody needed to have an advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Advocates oftentimes were survivors too, so they oftentimes got grants. But
Mm-hmm.
I knew that we had to create a life plan for these women. But if somebody said to me, Joe, we're going to do your life plan in half an hour, you're going to say, oh my God, no, I can't do that.
Mm.
So the words life plan, I found to be scary myself. So
It's a bit
again,
overwhelming,
in,
yeah.
in divine order, I'm like, God, please tell me, what do I call this? I'm not going to call it. So that's when the dream proposal came along. So it's a dream proposal. Um, if we have 5 minutes, I can do a dream proposal really quickly with your listeners so they know exactly how to do this for themselves.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Pencil, paper, whatever.
Love
Uh,
it.
First of all, I had to persuade survivors that they deserved and had the power to create the dreams. Right?
Mm-hmm.
These are women whose self-esteem has been demolished, their worthiness has been demolished. And then I found the basis of everything is basically self-forgiveness because they've been told all along that they're stupid, they don't deserve anything. So we need a broad, encompassing self-forgiveness. Then
Yeah.
we need to know that we deserve it. And then we need to know that we have the power to create it.
Yeah.
So that was all part of the dream proposal. So dream proposal has 3 questions. What
Mm-hmm.
is your biggest dream? What are the steps and goals? And the third question when I was giving the grant was, what is the cost of the first step? But
Mm-hmm.
because I can't give your listeners that grant money, that third question is going to be, what is the first step to take tomorrow?
Mm.
And to me, it is a universal law that if you take the first step, the second step will show itself.
Beautiful. Okay, I have a question. How do you get them to start to dream? Because even someone like
Okay.
myself who's been very encouraged still has that kind of at the, I'm 46, so it's like, right? How do you get them to even start to dream?
Okay, we're going to get really specific here
Yeah.
with the 3 questions. So the biggest dream has 5 parts. What is your dream career? What is your dream home? I'm a crazy car person. What is your dream car? Travel is my bucket list. What is dream travel? And it took me a long time to figure out the fifth question is, what are you doing for self-care?
Mm,
We do not take care of ourselves properly because we don't think that we deserve it.
preach.
So let's go back to the first question. What is your dream career?
Yeah.
For example, we worked with a lot of non-English speaking women. One woman specifically from Brazil, so she spoke Portuguese,
Yeah.
and we had translators.
Hmm.
She had finished 5th grade in Brazil, did not speak English, and wanted to be a doctor.
Amazing.
Okay. That's not too big a dream. We can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do?
Mm-hmm.
We need English classes,
Mm-hmm.
which are free. There are free GED classes so she can finish high school.
Amazing.
There are community colleges that will happily help her financially as well. And then she can go to a 4-year college and medical school. So that is all part of number one under number one.
Got it.
So then for the dream house, a lot of these women didn't even have apartments, but we didn't want to talk about a dream apartment. That's not big enough.
Yeah.
So we literally designed the house.
Wow.
How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, what kind of yard, garage, pool? Is it a cape? Is it a colonial? We designed the house.
I love it.
And a lot of these women had 2 or 3 kids and were working 2 and 3 jobs.
Yeah.
So then we pop over to what kind of car do you want? And I'm like, I want a Porsche. But there are several of them said a minivan. I said, no, no,
Sure.
no, 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 no. We do not do minivans. We will do a Lexus or a Mercedes SUV, but no, 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 no. And then for travel, the first trip is just for you, no kids. Oh
Oh
my God,
gosh.
how can I take a trip without kids,
Right.
right?
Right. Yes.
Then
Dare I dream? Dare I dream?
yeah, then your second trip can be to Disney World. So
Right.
then, okay, so those are self-care. So what I would say is, and there's a really good section of the book specifically about self-care. Start off little, and self-care is an attitude.
You said the book. Tell us the name of the book.
The book is called It Takes a Woman to Empower Women. So it's great survivor stories. It's also self-care. It's fantastic quotations. There are also spaces for journaling and
Love it.
affirmations, meditations, whatever.
And we can get this on Amazon?
You certainly can.
Okay.
You can either search Johanna Crawford or It Takes a Woman. So anyway, and
The self-care is such a wide spectrum.
the self-care is an attitude. It's
Oh,
a mindset that
got it.
you deserve it, which is all part of worthiness, which is
Yes.
all part of women's empowerment.
Yes.
So start off small, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Nothing has to cost money.
Mm.
Take a walk, listen to music, have a long bath, eat healthy food. And there's way more of this in the book, but just start off small, but with the fact it is a mindset. And it has
Mm.
to be a mindset and a habit every day.
Mhm.
So that's the 5 parts of the dream. So we'll go down to the steps and goals. The steps and goals for the education and be a doctor was what I said,
Yeah.
those steps. So then we get down to the last question. What is the cost of the first step? Which is
Right.
what I did. And the ESL, English, was free, but she needed transportation to get there. And she
Mm-hmm.
didn't have money for transportation. So
Mm-hmm.
that was one of the things. Then she needed a laptop to take the ESL and then also to be able to do her GED. And then she needed help, and we could only help with 1 class at the community college.
Mm-hmm.
But those 3 things got her up and running and taking off.
Yeah.
So say you want another career change and you need some education. Also in the book, there are a huge amount of resources in the back section, a lot of free stuff. But tomorrow, if you want to take a class, there is free education. Go
Mm-hmm.
on Google and just start the search.
Mhm.
The class or the school, it will show itself. And trust that it will show itself, and start using your intuition, which is a real muscle. The
Right.
more you practice, it'll say, oh my God, that class sounds so good. Or, oh, that class, oh, that doesn't feel good. But
Yeah.
the more you practice and the more you trust that you deserve and have the power, oh, put the dream proposal on your refrigerator so you can look at it every day, because that becomes your intention.
Right.
And you need to dream out loud. You need to tell
Mhm.
those who will support you, obviously, not those who
Yeah.
will not support you, because you have no idea will support will come from. It will
Mm.
come from all kinds of places that you never dreamed of.
Mm. It's so beautiful. So you've taught social entrepreneurship and risk taking in Japan. So that's fascinating. What key elements make a successful leader, especially for women looking to create social change?
Wow, that's a hard question, because I really don't think of myself as a leader in social change. Working with Japanese women, I had 4 women come at a time to stay with me. Well, they were at hotels, but to work with me to learn how I created Web of Benefit as a nonprofit. And Japan is a very male-dominated society.
Yeah.
Um, they also have basically no childcare.
Mm.
So young women who go to the university there oftentimes choose not to have children, because A, their husbands don't help, and B, there's no childcare. So if they don't have parents or family to take care of the kid, the beautiful child, they're out of the job market for 5 years.
Yeah.
Then they go back into the job market, and they have some menial something or other, A, because they've lost 5 years in their career path,
Hmm.
but also because the male domination says, well, they're only mothers, and they, especially like legal or medicine, they won't work the 60 hours a week they need to work. So the women that I worked with had an idea of what small companies they wanted to start, but my focus was go home and create childcare centers,
Mm.
which women will be very happy to pay for, so they'll be
Mm.
profitable, but you'll
Hmm.
also be helping society
Hmm.
as a whole.
Hmm.
We did a lot of talking about risk taking. Um, Financing in Japan is very difficult. So small business loans are very difficult.
Okay.
So it's basically how to start on a shoestring, and how to figure out how to connect with organizations that can help you.
Right.
When I started thinking about Web of Benefit, as I said, I didn't know anything about nonprofits, and this is for women in the United States specifically. There is an organization called SCORE, SCORE, that
Hmm.
is retired executives.
Hmm.
So I actually, when I was starting another company for profit, I had gone to SCORE. They're volunteers, they're retired executives, and mostly men, and they're absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
So I went and made an appointment to talk about how do I start a nonprofit. Well, it
Hmm.
turns out SCORE doesn't work with nonprofits, because you have to get your 501(c)(3 through the IRS, and it's crazy.
Hmm.
So, but this wonderful gentleman said to me, do you know about the Hale and Dorr Harvard Law School um, joint partnership on nonprofits? And I said, no. So anyway, he gave me the name of a woman to call. I didn't even know who the woman was. So I called the woman, and she said, well, I can't help you, but I have the name of this guy to call.
And you just followed the trail. You're
I
so
did. I
resourceful and
took
so persistent, determined. You have such a passion.
I took
Yeah,
the
it's
first
amazing.
step, and then you get pushed along.
Amazing.
You don't have a
But a
choice.
lot of people don't follow the breadcrumbs like you did and don't
Well,
create the impact that you've created and the change that you've created on such a big level from the ground up. So you were honored as a CNN hero and received the Be the Change Award. So that is, proof of your tenacity. So how does that accolade reflect the impact of your work? Like, how do you receive that recognition? How does that feel to you? Does it make sense to you? Are you like, I can't even understand this? How does it resonate for you?
um, the Be the Change Award was really cool. Um, and of course CNN, a CNN hero. I mean, that's national. That actually brought us a donor,
Amazing.
gave us enough money every month that we could have our own office, which we had never had before.
So you being willing to be visible or allowing yourself to be visible on some cosmic level allowed for more change.
Absolutely. The CNN thing was very nerve-wracking. CNN does not give the hero award without vetting everything.
Okay.
Years and years of tax returns,
Okay.
multiple interviews,
Wow.
many calling people that we had dealt with. I mean, it took 6 months of more paperwork, Whew,
Wow.
it was brutal and a total shock when she called and said, "We are coming to film." I mean, that's national. And here we are with this teeny little thing who didn't even have an office. I was working from my,
I love it.
although we didn't film at my house, we filmed at the agencies that I worked with. And then it turns out we actually flew to Chicago to film with the wonderful woman I gave a sewing machine to. So
Oh, I love it.
she is on the video. She is just freaking awesome. Um, but the CNN hero thing is like ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And
Yeah.
that's what we were doing. It was 12 years. It was day after day. I'm just putting this out to the universe. If somebody wants to give me $5 million, I'll start all over again. But the fundraising damn near killed me. Every day for 12 years, I worried about where the money was coming from.
Hmm.
And actually, if you ask me where the 1,000,005 came from, I don't know. I have no idea. But
Hmm.
it was one day at a time.
Right.
And you can really achieve extraordinary things. But there has to be motivation to follow the next step. So I call the lady and then I got to call this guy, right? It takes me about a month between times because I'm like, oh, who am I going to? So I call the guy and he says, tell me everything in 5 minutes. I didn't have an elevator speech. I didn't have,
Right.
it
Okay.
went blah, blah, blah. I have no idea what I said to the guy.
Sure.
I didn't even know who the guy was.
Yeah.
So he says to me, I'll call you back in 2 days. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a guy tell you he's going to call you back in 2 days, but I have many times, and rarely has it happened. So anyway, the guy called me back in 2 days.
Amazing.
He was managing partner at Hale and Dora Law Firm. Oh, thank goodness I didn't know who he was. And
Right.
he said to me, you will have your law student in February to do your 501c3 paperwork for you.
Ugh, amazing.
And Halen, and he,
Angels.
so, I just follow the breadcrumbs.
That's beautiful. Oh my gosh. Okay, so balancing service with self-care. You talked about self-care earlier. So as someone who has dedicated your life to helping others, how do you how do you maintain your own well-being? Like you were talking about how grueling this was for years and the money and right? So what practices are helping you stay connected to joy and abundance?
Um, I think if you can leave what you're doing where you're doing it and not take it home with you.
Wait, you work from home? What do you do?
Well, then I shut the door.
Because I have that.
And of course, I really could not do that because I was worried about the money all the time.
Sure.
But I have always been a very active person and an athlete. So
Okay.
not heavy physical stuff, but yoga and stretch and walking. Meditation is huge. Um,
Amazing. What is your meditation practice like? Can you share a little bit about it?
I don't sit for any length of time, but I breathe a lot. At bed, I my meditation actually is probably more gratitude, and
Oh,
gratitude needs to be part of everything.
yes.
Gratitude actually changes the makeup of the brain.
Yeah.
And so when I go to bed at night and when I wake up in the morning, I'm grateful for this, and this. And I worked a lot with gratitude with the survivors too. And a lot of them, they didn't have much to be grateful for, but they had a safe place to be, even if it was in a shelter. They had clean beds for themselves and their kids. They had food. They had advocates. So even the smallest thing, but especially gratitude at bed as kind of the last thing you're thinking about, if you can. And journaling is huge.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of journaling prompts in the book.
Love it.
Even if you only journal for 5 or 10 minutes, we actually would give clients, survivors, journals, but they were just composition books,
Mm-hmm.
just ugly composition books. So
Mm-hmm.
write ugly and
Yeah.
just let it flow.
Yes.
You never have to read it again, or if
Mm-hmm.
you want to, you can.
Mm-hmm.
But journaling is such a big part of self-care.
I
Uh,
love that. I love it.
so,
The Artist's Way, Julia Cameron. Do you love that book?
yeah, oh yeah, Julie, yeah, the
Yeah.
artist way, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. But and I read a lot. I love Brene Brown
I
and
love her. Yes.
um, but again, it's a mindset, it's an attitude that in order for me to do the work that I want to do,
Yeah.
I have to take care of myself first.
Yeah. You have to be the example. You have to lead by example, right?
Well,
If you're
not only that,
depleted,
but
you can't help them.
if you're taking care of everybody else first, you will get angry and you will get resentful and
Yeah.
you will be good to absolutely nobody, including yourself.
Yeah.
So again, it's that mindset that I deserve and I have to come first. And this is hard stuff. It sounds really easy, but
I
it's
hear you for
especially when
sure.
you've been in god awful relationships and told that you don't. And we have these core beliefs
Right?
that we got. My mother, when I was 5, would say to me, "Can't you just be nice?" And probably I wasn't. And then as I got older and I got to be a really angry teenager,
Mm-hmm.
these core beliefs lead to patterns of behavior
Yeah.
that don't suit us
Yeah.
anymore.
Yep.
So Dan Siegel said, "Name it to tame it."
Mm-hmm.
If we can be curious about where our core beliefs came from and say, was that a reality, or was that being somebody nasty or trying to control me or gaslighting or blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
If we can change our core beliefs or at least be curious about them, we can change our behavior patterns to create what we want.
Yeah, this is why I love breathwork because it literally helped me to figure out how to be safe for myself.
Yeah,
You know, it's like really rewiring the whole system because you can talk and talk and talk,
right,
but it's in the body, right? We have to reprogram it.
right.
And
Well,
it's addictions too.
you
It's an
can,
addiction to
oh, absolutely.
those thought loops.
Right. It is.
And
It
they
is.
feed
And
on themselves.
drama is an addiction too.
Yes,
These,
cortisol.
yeah, these women have been living in these dramas, which have been real, but when they
Yes.
come out, it's still this high cortisol, high maintenance stuff. But um, I
Because
think
that's all you've ever known is chaos.
that's right. Um, I've realized that just walking meditation with breath. I also do a lot of yoga, which of course is wonderful breath work as well as terrific breath balance
Yeah.
and stretching and that kind of stuff. But I, I've noticed even in a car when I'm driving around, it's like, oh, I just had to take a really deep breath, which means like I was not, and I'm
Breathing.
sure you probably teach this to your clients, but if you don't take an exhale longer than the inhale, your body is holding back carbon dioxide,
Mm.
which leads to more stress.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yes, I think your work with breath work is terrific.
Thank you so much. Okay, so what's next for Web of Benefit? How do you see it evolving? What's the legacy you have hope to leave behind with it next?
Well, the web of benefit doesn't exist anymore because I retired, but the book became the legacy.
Okay.
So the book is to empower women the way I did. It is fantastic stories, not only about the restaurants and the sewing machine, but many other stories. And then the self-care, the meditation, the journaling, um, and the resources. So what I'm trying to do is to get the book into the hands of as many women as I can.
Got it.
The book is a survivor's guide, but then there's an asterisk that says at the bottom, we are all survivors. And we are all survivors because abuse is on a spectrum.
Yeah.
Plus, we are born into a patriarchy.
Yes.
Function.
Oh my gosh, can I just tell you, Kate Northrup's episode I was listening to this morning was all about this. So so I want to put that video that you were talking about earlier as a link in the show notes too. Will you send that to me, the video that you were referencing?
Yeah, all you need to do is Google Johanna Crawford CNN
Okay.
and you'll get it.
Okay. So to close out, so if we could inspire our listeners to take one action to make a positive change in their community, if they want to serve the way you've served, what can they do?
Well, it depends on what kind of timing they have. You can Google any kind of volunteer organizations. If you're not working during the day, there's Meals on Wheels.
I
I'm
love Meals on Wheels.
I'm just starting working with a student in the Boston Public School System. Figure out what you like to do, and do you want to work with a group? Do you want to work with an individual? Do you want to work with pets? There are so many things to volunteer. Even if you pick a woman's organization and send a check for $10,
Mm,
you know,
I love that. It's so
and
actionable. It's like you can do that
right,
right now. Go ahead and
right,
do that right now. Yes, love
right.
it.
It doesn't, these things don't have to be big. If we, people say smile, say hello to the person checking you out, hold the door for somebody. It's just your energy will get into the universe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Making the causes just be the cause. Yeah. And like, because I think that people can get overwhelmed looking at an example like you and think, oh, well, I don't know how to do that, so I'll just do, and then they do nothing. So I love how you're making it so simple.
It really is simple. And I didn't know how to do anything. I was very lucky. I had the time and I had the resources that I could do it. But it's hard work. It it
Yeah.
it is hard work, and nobody has to do big things. You don't.
Your goal wasn't to be recognized as a CNN hero. Your goal was to just help like a few women.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, my attitude is if you can live with the worst case scenario that's going to happen with whatever you do, then you should do it. My worst case scenario was Web of Benefit wouldn't work, but I wasn't going to go hungry. I wasn't going to lose my home. So when you're thinking about taking a risk, think about what is the worst that can happen. And if you can handle that, then you should be doing it.
Yeah. The worst is it won't work, and then you'll iterate and you'll try the next thing.
Right. And if you
Or
don't do
you'll
it,
pivot, you'll do something. Yeah.
right. If you don't do it, it's a no anyway.
Right. Johanna, you're so inspiring. I feel so blessed to have gotten to interview you and meet you and know what you've accomplished for yourself and for these women. And the way that you've created this ripple effect in the world is absolutely fantastic and phenomenal. You're such an inspiration. Thank you for all of the hard work that you put in every single day when it wasn't easy. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you
thank
for what
you.
you've done and just who you are in the world. You're clearly such a, heart-centered, incredible woman that's just leading an incredible example just by smiling at someone. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. But just realize I'm just a human being muddling through just like everybody else.
I mean, you're so grounded and down to earth, and it's so clear that you just, you had a vision and you just stayed with it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate you so much. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next time.